As someone who is left-leaning, I truly believe in freedom of speech, and I think that that is a principle that...
Well, thank you for coming.
All of... So, my question was about abortion, and I just wanted to know, why exactly do you think a first trimester fetus has moral value?
Okay, so a first trimester fetus has moral value because whether you consider it a potential human life or a full-on human life, it has more value than just a cluster of cells. If left to its natural processes, it will grow into a baby. So the real question is, where do you draw the line? So you're going to draw the line at the heartbeat, because it's very hard to draw the line at the heartbeat. There are people who are adults who are alive because of a pacemaker. They need some sort of outside force generating their heartbeat. Okay, are you going to do it based on brain function? Okay, well, what about people who are in a coma? Should we just kill them? Right? The problem is, anytime you draw any line other than the inception of the child, you end up drawing a false line that can also be applied to people who are adults. So either human life has intrinsic value or it doesn't. I think we both agree that adult human life has intrinsic value. Can we start from that premise?
I believe that sentience is what gives something moral value, not necessarily being a human alone.
Okay, because, so when you're asleep, can I stab you?
I'm still considered sentient when I'm asleep.
Okay, if you are in a coma from which you may awake, can I stab you?
Well then, no. I guess not. I mean,
I'm glad you answered that, because I have no interest in actually murdering you.
But that's still potential sentience, and it's still a potential...
I agree, it is potential sentience. You know what else is potential sentience? Being a fetus.
The issue I have with that, though, is that if I'm in a coma and I'm not doing anything to anyone, I'm not causing any issues amongst the world, whereas an unwanted child may or may not be a burden to people.
Okay, well, there are lots of people who are unwanted, right? I mean, there are lots of people's parents who are unwanted, right? We're a bunch of college students. The problem is that now you're shifting the argument, right? Before you were making the argument based on the intrinsic value of a life based on sentience, and now you're talking about the level of burden that somebody presents as a separate moral argument. Okay, I don't believe that you being a burden on somebody is justification for them killing you, as a general rule.
I'll leave it at that, but I appreciate you, and thank you.
No, thanks. A piece by some crazy person named Jodi Allard. She's apparently a feminist blogger. First of all feminist bloggers are, I don't mean to generalize, but they're all crazy. So, she actually has a piece today called, the title of it is, "I'm Done Pretending Men Are Safe, Even My Sons." Really. And the entire thing is about how her sons are potential rapists. She says, "I have 2 sons. They're strong and compassionate. The kind of boys other parents are glad to meet when their daughters bring them home for dinner. They are good boys in the ways good boys are, but they are not safe boys. I'm starting to believe there's no such thing." She is talking about her own children being potential rapists because of rape culture. She said, "I wrote an essay in the Washington Post last year during the height of the Brock Turner case about my sons in rape culture. I didn't think it would be controversial when I wrote it. I was sure most parents grappled with raising sons in the midst of rape culture." Well, no, actually. It turns out that the vast majority of us who grow up as boys in households that have good parents, we're not part of a rape culture because we are taught at a very early age that you're not supposed to rape people, right? That rape is a bad thing. I thought this was a pretty clear rule of Western civilization for the past 1,000 years or so. Because I didn't think it would be controversial when I wrote it. The struggle I wrote about was universal, I thought, but I was wrong. My essay went semi-viral, and for the first time my sons encountered my words about them on their friends' phones, their teachers' computers, and even overheard them discussed by strangers on a crowded metro bus. Right, because when you say your sons are potential rapists, that might have some bad ramifications. They're your kids, you stupid idiot. And then she says it was one thing to agree to be written about in relative obscurity, and quite another to have my words intrude on their daily lives. By the way, this is the same lady who wrote a column about how one of her sons was apparently suicidal. With a mother like this, and she says, one of my sons is suicidal, so we sat down and watched 13 Reasons Why. Are you the stupidest person on planet Earth? Okay, have you ever seen 13 Reasons Why? Like, half the show is dedicated to why suicide is a choice that is driven by outside forces. It's not really in your hands. Anyways, she says, "One of my sons was hurt by my words, although he's never told me so. He doesn't understand why I lumped him and his brother together in my essay. He sees himself as the good one, the one who is sensitive and thoughtful and who listens instead of reacts. He doesn't understand that even quiet misogyny is misogyny, and not all sexists sound like Twitter trolls." So he seems like a nice kid, but she's calling him a sexist and a rapist. He's angry at me now, although he won't admit that either, and his anger led him to conservative websites and YouTube channels. Okay, if the son of Jodi Allard is watching this right now, please write me an email. I would be happy to have you intern with us here over at the Daily Wire. I think that you deserve better than what your mother has provided to you, a label as a potential rapist. I don't think you're a rapist. I don't think you're a potential rapist. You seem like a nice person. Your mother, however, seems like she is a harridan. She says, I teeter frequently between supporting my son and educating him. Is it my job as his mother to ensure he feels safe emotionally, no matter what violence he spews? Can she give an example of like the violence that her son is spewing? Is he coming home and going, rape, 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 rape? Like what exactly is he doing? Is he coming home and he's just saying, I saw a girl on the bus today. You know what I thought? I thought rape! I'm pretty sure that's not what happened, but when you're a crazy person, then this is what happened. And then she starts talking about her dating life. Okay, why do feminists always feel the need to talk about their dating life like anybody cares? She says, I joined Bumble recently after a 6+ year break from dating. I'm not overly interested in dating in the first place, but I'm starved for adult conversation, so dating feels like a necessary evil. Well, no, there's some of us who have friends. I mean, you could do that. It's just Bumble, as I explained to my married friends, is like feminist Tinder. Women have to initiate contact with men, so there's no inbox full of bleep pics every day. But feminists are not. The men are no different from the men anywhere else, and I quickly felt deflated. All men are... Okay, I have a general recommendation. If you believe that all men or all women are crazy, that everybody's terrible, maybe it's just you. Maybe it's just you. If every relationship you've ever had has gone bad, maybe it's not because all the people you know are terrible. Maybe you suck as a human. Okay, and I'm going to go with that on this one. It's just... My sons won't rape unconscious women behind a dumpster, and neither will most of the progressive men I know. But what all of these men share in common, even my sons, is a relentless questioning and disbelief of the female experience. I didn't realize the common female experience is to be raped while unconscious behind a dumpster. I know a few females, and I don't know any of them who've been raped while unconscious behind a dumpster, or at least none who have told me about it. And if they did tell me about that, I would say, can we find the person and hunt them down? Like, that would be my first reaction. Can we tell the police? And if not, is there a way that we can kill this person and get away with it? Like, that seems like the best possible, like, is that not feminist enough? Do I have to do more than that? So I do not want to prove my pain or provide enough evidence to convince anyone that my trauma is merited. Okay, if you accuse someone of rape, you might have to provide evidence of actual rape. Like, you shouldn't just be able to accuse anyone of any crime. Totally insane. Totally insane. Child Protective Services needs to show up, like, right now at this lady's door. Thank God, it sounds like her sons are getting old enough that they get to leave home. Leave now. Leave now, okay? I will try to find a way to put you up in your own apartment. Seriously. Okay, you deserve to get out of there right now, Jody Allard's children. My God. Okay. No sense. The all-female Lord of the Flies. Why do I think this is important? Because I think that it is important to understand that the left's perverse and weird notion of what exactly men and women are, boys and girls, is exactly that. It's weird and perverse. So if you actually read Lord of the Flies, it is a book about boys becoming men. It is a book about what happens to boys in the absence of civilization. It is a book about the violent nature of particularly men. And it's funny that they'd want to do an all-female version of this, because the fact is that one of the things that feminists are constantly ripping about men is that men are violent, right? This is the routine we got from Hillary Clinton. That if Hillary had been elected president, there would never be another violent thing that happened ever, because all wars in history have been men. You get that routine from the feminists all the time, but now they want to do Lord of the Flies, which is based on physical violence being done between groups. I guess that now that they've done the all-female Ghostbusters, and that was such a smashing success and such a horrible movie, and now Scott McGeehee and David Siegel have made a deal at Warner's to direct a new version of Lord of the Flies. They plan to be faithful to the novel with one major twist. The young students stranded on a remote island who descend into a savage social order will be girls. And so here's what they say. This is quoting Paul Bois over at Daily Wire. David Siegel says, we want to do a very faithful but contemporized adaptation of the book. First of all, why would you have to do a contemporized adaptation of the book? It's literally a bunch of boys stuck on an island. Does that need a lot of updating? It's not like you're updating Shakespeare or something and you have to update the language. It's not like there are a bunch of cultural totems in Lord of the Flies. Literally, there is a conch shell. That is the entirety of the props in Lord of the Flies. Okay, there's like a pig head. That's pretty much it. I guess they can have Lena, they're the glasses, that's true. Thank you, Taylor. I guess that you could theoretically cast Lena Dunham as Piggy, which might make some sense. But David Siegel says, we want to do a faithful but contemporized adaptation of the book. It says, it is a timeless story that is especially relevant today with the interpersonal conflicts and bullying and the idea of children forming a society and replicating the behavior they saw in grown-ups before they were marooned. That really is not what the book is about. The book is really not about that. If you've read the book is really not about them imitating the adults. The point of the book is they get to the island and they realize there are no adults here. We can do whatever we want. That is the first 3 chapters of the book. Have they even read it? The entire point of the book is that man without civilization descends into anarchy and violence. That's the entire point of the stupid book. And it's not, the book isn't stupid, but this is ridiculous. McGee says, the subject matter is aggressively suspenseful, and taking the opportunity to tell it in a way that hasn't been told before with girls rather than boys is that it shifts things in a way that might help people see the story anew. It breaks away from some of the conventions, the way we think of boys and aggression. We don't think of boys and aggression. Boys are aggressive. Okay, I have a girl and I have a boy. The girl is 3.5 years old. She is calm. She is delightful. She is not aggressive. I have a boy who is 1.5 years old. I love him very much. He is awesome. He also will beat the living crap out of you if you cross him. Okay? He's a boy. That's what they do. That's just what they are. People still talk about the movie and the book from the standpoint of pure storytelling. It is a great adventure story, real entertainment, but it has a lot of meaning embedded in it as well. We've gotten to think about this a while as the rights were worked out, and we're super eager to put pen to paper. So they say this is just ridiculous. Okay, a few things about this that are particularly ridiculous. First of all, boys and girls are not the same. This is one of my pet peeves in film. It's one of the reasons I think I said on the show, Atomic Blonde failed. I think the reason Atomic Blonde failed is because the character could have been a man and there would have been no difference to the story at all. Like legitimately down to the seduction of a woman. Like there's literally no difference in Atomic Blonde between her being a man and her being a woman. Any movie where there's no difference in the main characters, like an action movie that actually implicates the differences between men and women, any movie that focuses on men and women being exactly substitutable, being exactly the same, it just does not work that way. It doesn't work for the viewer because the viewer knows there are differences between boys and girls. Here's the fact, okay? The movie would not work in any real sense because girls do not act the same as boys. Quick question for you. How many physical fights, not like yelling at each other and then crying on the phone fights, like physical fights have most girls been in? Most girls have been in very, very few physical fights, if any. The vast majority of girls that I know haven't been in any physical fights. How many fights have the vast majority of boys been in? The answer is probably greater than 5. Boys, particularly young boys, fight with each other all the time. They have physical fights with each other. Their violence is their arguments escalate to physical aggression in short order in a way that girls don't. Girls don't sit around smacking each other in the face, okay? That's not what girls do. When I was in law school, there was a group of guys who would legitimately go to bars, get drunk, and sock each other in the balls. This was like their way of having fun. Okay, the idea that girls, like, I've never heard of girls doing this. Okay, guys are much more aggressive than girls, which is why guys join the army and murder each other. This is why the vast majority of murderers in every culture in history have been men. The idea that women and men are exactly the same is stupid. They don't even group the same way. You know what happened if a bunch of girls got stuck on an island together? First of all, they would actually share and talk about their feelings because they like that stuff. Guys don't like that stuff. Half of the beginning of Lord of the Flies is the guys don't want to share feelings, and Piggy wants to share feelings, so they murder him. Okay, so that's legitimately what happens in the book. If a girl tries to share her feelings in an island with a bunch of other girls who are just shipwrecked, they will sit around and bond over this. That's what they will do. Okay, beyond that, girls don't tend to break into giant groups. They don't break into giant tribes. There have been studies that have shown this. There was one from the National Institute of Health that came out just recently. And what they found is that girls actually like to get together in sort of best friend forever circumstances. They have a very close-knit circle of friends, right? They have girls will have their best friend, and that's it, right? Guys will get together in packs, and then they roam around in packs. That's what they do. Because guys are basically just chimpanzees, like male chimpanzees. They walk around in packs. That's what happens in Lord of the Flies. They break down into packs, and then they fight each other. Because men are looking for physical safety from other men, and so they band together to provide that physical safety for one another. Girls, in the absence of guys, are not deeply worried about other girls physically attacking them, and so they only need somebody with whom they can spiritually and mentally bond. That's what they are looking for. This is why guys don't understand girls and girls don't understand guys. When guys get angry and when guys get upset, guys get silent. When girls get angry and upset, they get very talkative. Okay, girls actually want to talk about their feelings. They want to talk about what's upsetting them. Guys tend to go quiet, and then girls are like, why won't you talk to me? It's like, because this is what guys do. Guys and girls are largely, this doesn't mean every guy and every girl. These are generalizations, but these generalizations exist for a reason and are scientifically backed. Okay, there's a study conducted by researchers at the National Institute of Mental Health and Georgia State University, and what they found is that girls, again, like to get together in one-on-one relationships with BFFs, and boys are more attuned to group dynamics and competition. That's not something that girls are that interested in engaging in. Beyond that, boys don't like sharing, right? Girls like sharing. Okay, this is according to the APA, the American Psychological Association. Quote, research has long shown that boys are less likely to disclose thoughts and feelings with one another than girls are. Popular psychology had posited that boys' reticence to talk about feelings was a fear of being embarrassed or ridiculed by peers. But new research in press at child development suggests differently. Rather than feeling embarrassed, it finds, boys perceive that sharing is simply a waste of time. Yes, this is correct. This is what men think. When people want to share feelings, we're like, shut up. No one cares. Okay, when girls want to share feelings, they think sharing feelings makes social bonds stronger. Girls are right on this and guys are wrong, but guys are right that if you spend all your time sharing your feelings, nothing gets done. Okay, but this is why you have societal breakdown in Lord of the Flies, because it's not a bunch of guys sitting around and talking about how sad it is that some of their friends just drowned and how they wish they could get back to civilization and how much they miss their parents. It's a bunch of guys going, I don't want to talk about that crap, let's go kill a pig. Right, that's what Lord of the Flies is. So, the reason I'm upset about this is, once again, Hollywood is trying to promote this idea that boys and girls are the same. Boys and girls are not the same, and people who say that boys and girls are the same are super, super stupid in every possible way. Boys and girls are not the same. Boys can't become girls. Girls can't become boys. There are some boys who tend toward more feminine behavior and some girls who tend toward more masculine behavior, but on the whole, there are massive differences, and just plopping girls into boys' roles doesn't do the trick.